Welcome to the 25th anniversary of Booked for the Evening at the Westport Library. Supported by Verso Studios. Created locally, shared with the world.
This is amazing.
Thank you so much for making me feel loved and welcome.
My wife would be the first to tell you I'm really very rarely at a loss for words, but this is a remarkable occasion.
With a crossword, when you're done, you have achieved perfection.
A library is a place of learning. It's a place of growth. It's a place of expanding your mind. And for me, that's what my whole life has been about.
You never assume, oh, you know, I'm going to win a Tony Award. I certainly never did.
I was really blessed with incredible teachers and guides and mentors.
That was incredibly overwhelming to me.
I don't want to feel like I've made it, because then I think you're just stunted instantly.
Good evening and welcome. Thank you for coming for what will be an extraordinary night. But before we begin tonight's program, I want to take a moment to acknowledge a tragic loss in our community yesterday. Yesterday, Max Harper, a senior at Staples High School, lost his life in a terrible accident. Our hearts go out to the Harper family during this really unimaginably difficult time. On behalf of the Westport Library, we offer our deepest condolences to all of you who knew and loved Max. Could we please have just a moment of silence in Max's honor? Thank you. As hard as it is to segue from such awful news, tonight is an evening of celebration. It's a celebration of this wonderful library. It's a celebration of our 25th year of Booked for the Evening. And it's a celebration of the iconic Billie Jean King. My name is Pat Weiser, and I am president of the Board of Trustees of this magnificent library. Most of the Board of Trustees are in the audience tonight, and may I ask you to please stand so that we know who you are and we can thank you. Please stand, come on, up you go. There are plenty of you here. A big thank you for all you do for this library. So, a show of hands. I can't see very well, but how many of you play tennis? Even badly. Whoa, that's a lot. So, the US Open has an important message for you. Tennis is the world's healthiest sport. And I have been told that playing tennis could add as much as 10 years to your life. So just keep on doing it. Book for the Evening is our signature fundraising event. And thanks to your generosity, this year's Booked is the most successful in the history of this event. So thank you. And I am proud to announce that we have the largest audience ever. We have over 600 plus people here tonight in the Trefz Forum. And we have many, many more watching from home due to our amazing state-of-the-art audio and video technology. I would say it's quite an achievement for a little old public library. I want to express gratitude to all of our incredible sponsors this year. And it is worth mentioning that the support from many of you has been going on for 25 years. So thank you. Tonight, I specifically want to thank a few very important sponsors who agreed to step up with major support in recognition of our 25th year of Booked. The lead sponsors are Jocelyn and Walter Berendian, Claudia and Art Cohen, and Paula and Tom McInerney. Your dedication is an inspiration, and we just cannot thank you enough. Before we begin our program, on behalf of the Board of Trustees, I want to thank the staff of the library and our volunteers for all they have done over the last many, many months to make this a really magical night for you. And with a special, sure, clap again. And with a special thank you to our esteemed leader, Bill Harmer, Executive Director, who continues to lead this library year after year to great heights. Thank you. I also want to take a moment to thank the dedicated book committee, and with a special shout out, really, to the co-chairs, Stacy Bass, Wendy Brown, and Candace Savin. Thank you. You are amazing the way you pull this off year after year, and it just keeps getting better. We really want you to know how much we appreciate all your work. So many of you may not realize, but when Stacy was a board member 25 years ago, she was part of a small committee which conceived and created the concept of Booked for the Evening. Stacy has steadfastly stayed involved since inception in 1999. And we would like to have Stacy come up tonight to be recognized. And I look forward to her taking a few minutes to share the history of this incredible event with us. So come on up, Stacy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, great.
Very sweet.
And I don't know if all of you have the same question I have for Stacy. Were you 15 when you were back doing this 25 years ago?
Thank you. No, I was not. Thank you so much. That was incredibly sweet. If you guys will just give me a second. I forgot how to swallow a few minutes ago. I can't open this. Okay, maybe not. Thank you. I was betting on being able to see people, so I'll have to adjust Thank you so much for that very kind introduction and acknowledgement. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. So, good evening, Westport. Thank you all for your continued reinvigorated or even brand new interest in support for the library, our library, and for Book for the Evening, celebrating a momentous milestone 25th year. You don't need me to review the simply outstanding list of honorees we've feted over the years, as you've just seen them larger than life on the screen. But given the occasion, it feels more than fitting to offer a little window behind the scenes, so I hope you'll indulge me. Back in 1998, I was lucky to be in the room where it happened, with our small but mighty committee of Maxine Bleiweiss, who is here tonight, Hetty Lieberman, who unfortunately is not here tonight, David Rubenstein, I believe, is here, David, Faith Taylor, and Eileen Wiseman. Eileen, are you here? Wonderful. When the seed of the concept of book was planted, with huge thanks to then board president Joel Davis's relationship with Westporter Gordon Manning, we had an opportunity to host Tom Brokaw in connection with his best-selling book, The Greatest Generation. We created Booked as a way to turn that opportunity into our first fundraiser, to bridge the gap in the funds needed to execute the programming and operating budget of this ever-morphing, groundbreaking library. In the years that followed, we've been so fortunate to honor an incredible and eclectic group, which has included many esteemed writers, historians, a television producer, several journalists, a playwright, the crossword puzzle creator, a dancer, more than a few musicians, movie directors, actors, and more, each at the pinnacle of their chosen fields, legends. And while we've had Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, Tony, New York Times bestselling, Pulitzer Prize, and last week an EGOT, Justin Paul, in spades, the one unifying accolade is that they are all now recipients of the Westport Library Award, which, if you ask me, is some kind of wonderful. As you can imagine, along the way, there have been prospective honorees that, for various reasons, had to turn us down. But when I look back at the list, it's impossible not to believe it's exactly as it should be, a varied and truly marvelous collection of superstars. And further, to be beyond grateful that each year has offered an opportunity for us all to learn something new, to be touched, inspired, mesmerized, even starstruck. For me, that post-book euphoria can sometimes last for weeks. We're also so fortunate tonight that longtime Westporter Chris McKendry, host of ESPN Tennis, will be on stage shortly to interview the extraordinary Billie Jean King. It feels simply perfect that on this 25th anniversary year, we're able to honor someone who's actually invented a category of her very own: athlete, activist, innovator, icon. And parenthetically, it's bizarre that you're sitting right there. Thank you so much for being here. This is surreal. The support from this community has been outstanding. Back in our first year, we had 5 sponsors with contributions totaling $17,000. 12 years later, just for some perspective, that number had grown to 63 sponsors and $125,000. And this year, surely goosed by the milestone, I'm happy to share that we have garnered commitments from 135 sponsors, totaling a record-setting $650,000. It's amazing. Including ticket sales, donations, and even streaming fees, that number has grown to over $750,000 this year. We thank you for your remarkable generosity. On a personal note, it's truly an honor in my lifetime to be of service to this town that raised me, to have been able to contribute to and collaborate with such an astonishing group of people, library staff and volunteers alike, who have worked devotedly and tirelessly in bringing Book to life, all for the collective benefit of our community, friends, and neighbors, and even far beyond. I think back to my first experience at the old Westport Library on the corner of Main Street, holding hands with my mom some 54 years ago, and remember how it felt to run my hands along the spines of the picture books on the second floor, looking for just the right one to bring home, treasure hunting with such wide-eyed joy and curiosity. It's amazing to think of the generations that have followed, including my own 4 grandchildren now, and those still to come, and how this library will continue to open the door to the littlest minds in this very simple way, but also to so much more. I hope you feel as lucky as I do to live in a place that puts such a high value on loving learning, on celebrating culture and creativity, on illuminating the arts in all its forms. There are never enough opportunities to acknowledge the talents and dedication of my dear friends and our trusted leaders, Wendy Brown and Candy Savin, who graciously welcomed me back to co-chair with them this year. For many years, their energy, focus, and thoughtfulness has set the tone for our amazing committee, and plus, they're just the loveliest people. And finally, before I turn over the stage to Douglas Tirola's always brilliant filmmaking, just one last resounding thank you to each of you, friends and cherished patrons, for being such an enthusiastic part of this Westport legacy. I am ever grateful.
This woman changed the face of female athletics. There's no getting around it, and athletics in general. She has won the Wimbledon singles title an amazing 6 times. Please welcome Billie Jean King.
Billie Jean King.
Wimbledon queen, Billie Jean King.
Billie Jean there.
Billie Jean.
Billie Jean is a complex character of infectious dynamism.
Billie Jean King was arguably tennis's boldest rebel.
Billie Jean King charges around the court very much like a man.
Billie Jean King, the so-called defender of women's rights.
She happens to be one of the most remarkable athletes.
Billie Jean has done it.
She disappointed no one.
Congratulations, Billie Jean King. She's done it all. We know that, Johnny Mac. Now the Westport Public Library honoring her.
Unbelievable.
I mean, you can't top it for BJK.
Billie Jean, you probably don't remember this. We met when I was 16. You were trying to change the world. You still are. God bless you. Another well-deserved honor. The McEnroe brothers love you. And just keep up the fight, Billie Jean, because you've been doing it your whole life.
We were fortunate to grow up in Southern California with its perfect weather for developing athletes year-round. Sports was the air we breathed. My dad took a job with the Long Beach Fire Department. Once I held my own in softball games, my father's coworkers always wanted me to play shortstop or third base on their teams at their fire department picnics. There I learned an important lesson. Men and boys will accept you more easily when you excel at something they value. In tennis, you could run, jump, and hit a ball. 3 things I loved about basketball and softball, 2 of the team sports I played. For my first hitting session with Susan Williams, I knew I discovered my sport. It was as if a window into my future had been flung open, and I just had to tell somebody, Mom, I found out what I'm going to do with my life. I want to be the #1 tennis player in the world. I found my racket, and I slept with it, and I read every tennis book, all 3 of them that I could find in the library. I chose to attend Los Angeles State College in the fall of 1961. One publication ranked us as the top college team in the world. After I returned for my sophomore year, my friend kept telling me about this guy I had to meet, a freshman named Larry King. Honestly, when I saw that face, that smile, that was it. I remember being struck by how sincere and friendly he was. One day after we began dating, Larry stopped and turned to me and said, "You realize you're treated like a second-class citizen because you're a girl, right?" I've always said it was Larry King who first made me a feminist, and it started that day. As it turned out, I would never return to college. I had asked 17-year-old Rosie Casals to be my regular doubles partner earlier that summer, and we lost in the Wimbledon quarterfinals. Soon Rosie and I would start a long run as the top doubles team on tour.
Her optimism, and I believe in her. When we would be down match point 40-15, she'd look at me with those baby blue eyes and say, we're going to win this. And damn if we don't.
I remember 1966 was the big year for me as far as singles, and I had to beat Maria Bueno, who was one of my sheroes. When I finally won, that was such a relief, and also I finally achieved my goal of being number one since I was 11.
When the money came into the game, people started to notice me and the other women, and the reason for this is that money is a measuring stick.
After 9 years as an amateur, Billie Jean was suddenly playing in front of a global audience of millions. But her uncompromising style was ruffling feathers.
Every day I wake up and say, all right, Billie, today I've got to be good. I've got to be an angel. I've got to just concentrate, never get upset. And invariably, something would happen. I just react.
In a radical move, Billie Jean and 8 other renegade players signed a $1 contract to create a professional women's tennis circuit of their own.
They refused to play a tournament in Los Angeles because the prize money ratio was 11-1 in favor of the men, and instead set up their own tournament in Houston. It could have meant the end of their careers.
Regarded as outlaws, King and her rebellious cohorts were suspended by the U.S. Lawn Tennis Association.
Known as the Original Nine, Billie Jean and the gang were soon touring America, playing for big money in women-only tournaments.
We owe the tour to Billie Jean King and the Original Nine and everyone that made all those sacrifices to make this tour that we play on. I mean, it wouldn't exist.
Throughout that year, I was also tracking the work toward a new law called Title IX.
The Congress of the United States passed a law that has come to be known as Title IX. Schools must provide facilities and opportunities for women equal to those they provide for men.
Title IX just blasted open the doors as far as opportunities, access.
It's out, and there's the championship for Billie Jean King.
As if to prove a point, becoming singles champion wasn't Billie Jean's only achievement that weekend.
I played 3 events, singles, doubles, and mixed. And I won all 3, which I do not know how.
Billie Jean became the first professional player in Wimbledon history to win a triple crown. But despite her unprecedented success, men's champion Jan Kodish pocketed more just for lifting the men's singles trophy. Billie Jean's fight would continue.
I met with the U.S. Open tournament director, Billy Talbot, and told him I wouldn't play in the 1973 U.S. Open if they didn't level the prize money, and most of the top women would walk out with me. He made the deal. I think Billy might have just told the board, we're having equal prize money, case closed. And that's how the U.S. Open became the first major to pay women and men the same.
To the Queen of Tennis.
I bet you my head's too big.
And the latest news on tennis and the war between the sexes, it was announced today, believe it or not, that Bobby Riggs, the old champ, will play Billie Jean King, the women's Wimbledon winner, for a $100,000 prize.
The women have had things going too good for them for a long time.
Can you beat her?
I can kill her.
And without women's tennis, I don't think Bobby would have had such a great time either, but we're also making money from him, so it's kind of like a marriage.
I scouted her. I watched her play every match, so I've got her pretty well figured out.
Bobby Riggs leading 3-2.
I was down 4-2 in the first set. Everybody forgets that. That was my moment of truth. I thought about what my life would be like if I lost. I thought about what would it do for others if I won this match. By the time Bobby and I met on the floor of the Astrodome, something inside told me to make a last-minute change of strategy.
Mrs. King trounced Riggs in 3 straight sets last night. It wasn't much of a contest. Billie Jean savored her victory at courtside, and her fans across the country did the same.
By 1974, I was starting to feel younger players gaining on me. I put in the work, and by the end of June 1975, I had never felt more fit. I was told after I arrived at Wimbledon that I could achieve a couple of significant records. The fans were so astonished by my comeback, they kept roaring and clapping for me long after we left.
Billie Jean, congratulations for being honored at the Westport Library, not only for tennis, but for society, for women and men in general, and you deserve all the credit you've been given.
I was doing mental gymnastics at the time regarding my sexuality. I was starting to question what I was doing, even who I was.
I've always felt it's very important that people have their privacy.
That press conference was the longest 20 minutes of my life. Maybe people who admired me or just knew my name realized it wasn't fair to keep labeling gays and lesbians as degenerates or psychiatric cases.
It really means the world to me. You are absolutely one of my great heroes. You coming out at 51 is why I felt like I could come out at 15.
Billie Jean King and Arthur Ashe were trying to change the status quo. That's the source of all revolution. And they understood the place they occupy in society. And what they say and what they do does matter.
Billie, I want to congratulate you on this honor. And I want to tell a quick story for everyone in the room so you know who you're honoring. Billie and I were in Chicago at Mastro Steakhouse. We didn't have a reservation. We were both dressed in sweatpants. Two other young ladies walked in, also dressed in sweatpants, with no reservation. The maitre d' told them that they could not have a table because they did not adhere to the dress code. Billie thought this was wrong because we also didn't adhere to the dress code. So she walks outside in 15-degree weather, grabs the two young ladies, brings them back into the restaurant, and demands that they be given a table. I want to thank you for fighting for equality in all types of rooms, for all types of people. I love you and congratulations.
I didn't know a great deal about being an activist when I started fighting for equality, but I picked up insights along the way. Marching in the streets is great, but that's not enough. Once you organize, you have to mobilize.
Do you feel free?
Yes, I do.
And that's part, I suspect, of why you feel free, is you've seen some of these things become reality.
It's great. And to see the younger players, they're so much happier. You can't believe it. They have so much more self-respect in themselves, and they can see where they can go now. It's really beautiful.
Billie Jean, thank you so much. Your dedication to inclusion has meant so much to so many, myself included. I don't know if I would have been able to play tennis if it hadn't been for all that you've done to help others like me, like you, and like every tennis player that stepped on the court. We really appreciate it, and I love the fact that you're in my home state. So Westport Library thanks you, and I thank you.
We honor what she calls all of the off-the-court stuff.
Billie Jean King has advanced the struggle for greater gender equality around the world. With Billie Jean King pushing us, the road ahead will be smoother for women, the future will be brighter for LGBT Americans, and our nation's commitment to equality will be stronger for all.
What too often goes overlooked is that Ilana and I have been together for over 40 years. We're partners in every sense of the word. Our values align seamlessly. I don't think Ilana gets enough recognition for her pivotal role and leadership in everything we do, let alone what she's accomplished independently. We're driven to help other women's sports progress to the level of women's pro tennis. When we had a chance in 2020 to join the ownership group of Angel City FC, the first national women's soccer league team that will be owned and run almost entirely by women, we took it. We just started a women's ice hockey league, the PWHL. Look at yourself. If you can see it, you can be it. Everyone can do something extraordinary. Every single person.
A round of applause for Doug, please. Our local Westporter and brilliant filmmaker. I'm Chris McKendry of ESPN, And I'm Chris Andrade of Westport. Hi, neighbors. I'd like to start with a story. I floated into the newsroom on a personal high. I had just interviewed Billie Jean King for the first time, and I felt lucky. Lucky to live at a time when a great athlete whom I admire can also directly touch my life. King opened the door for all women and girls to participate in sports. And although she was an elite athlete, she fought for the average woman. She fought for me. To me, meeting her was no different than a black ball player meeting Jackie Robinson. I sat here looking at the person who made all my opportunities possible, and she was looking back at a living example of her vision. Our meeting made me think of one of her favorite quotes: "The more you know about history, the more you know about yourself." King was as thought-provoking and as passionate as I imagined she'd be. When our interview was over, I thanked her for everything. That's a small passage from an article I wrote for ESPN more than 20 years ago, in 2002. And it still holds true today, if not more so. She's a trailblazer, she's a game changer, she's an author. All apply to Billie Jean King. And now, we learned this summer, cool kid. Add that to the list. Take a look.
Hi, Billie Jean. Finally, I get to meet you.
I ain't never been to a tennis match. He rapping both sides. Good job. Good job. Good
Look
job.
at that. Look at this. I'm telling you, this is great. There's the inside out. He loves that shot.
He went behind him where he was at.
Love it. Yep.
I wanted to meet Arthur Ashe. That's what I wanted to do.
Oh, he was great. He and I won Wimbledon actually the same year together.
Same year?
We both had our afros.
Oh,
His
come
is
on
real.
now.
His is real.
I need to see that picture with
Oh, you have to
Billie
see it.
Jean King and,
We're
and
dancing-
Arthur
we're
Ashe with
dancing.
afros. I love it. We did it. So look, everybody in Long Beach, we're connected. The
Long
two
Beach?
goats have connected.
We love you.
We love you, LBC.
Yeah.
Oh, now.
It's pretty cool. That looks like a good time. I could go on and on about this woman, and we'd be here all night. However, I do want to say this. I believe we're fortunate in life when we benefit from another person's courage, the courage to shatter a glass ceiling, and I consider myself very fortunate. She's altered the narrative forever, and she did it with a fierceness only matched by humility, humanity, and her compassion. When people are around her, they want to celebrate not only who she is, but what she stands for. And no one has been able to do that better than her good friend, Elton John. Here to sing Philadelphia Freedom, a song he wrote for Billie Jean King, Westport's own Grammy Award nominee Sophie B. Hawkins, and singers from Theater Camp for Kids Broadway Academy.
Hi. Billie Jean King, you are still the biggest inspiration in our family. My mother was obsessed with you, so we all are. And my daughter wants to play ice hockey. She's 9 years old. We love you. This is for you. Used to be a rolling stone, you know. When the cause was right, I'd leave and find my answer on the road. I used to be a heartbreaker for someone, but the times have changed. Less I say, the more my work gets done. shine a light. I love you, shine on me. Through the eyes of the ones left behind. Come on, Westport. Shine the light, shine the light. Shine the light, won't you shine the light? Philadelphia freedom, I love you. Yes, I do. If you choose to, you can live your life alone. Some people choose the city. Some people choose the good old Westport home. I like living easy with no family ties. See the whippoorwill of freedom that me right between the eyes. Yes, I live and breathe this Philadelphia freedom. From the day that I was born, I wave the flag. Philadelphia freedom took me knee high to a woman. Yes, gave me peace of mind my mama never had. We go for Billie Jean King, let's Philadelphia freedom, shine a light. I love you, shine a light. Through the eyes of the ones left behind. Shine a light, shine a light. Shine a light, won't you shine a light? Philadelphia freedom, I love you. I love you. Yes, I do. Thank you so much, Billie Jean.
Kinger! Julie Foudy here. Oh, where do I even begin? Gosh, Kinger, I just love you so much. As you know, you are the gift that keeps on giving. I mean, beyond what you've done to help us with the women's soccer team and be the catalyst to equal pay, tell them about all of that because it's amazing. And being a dear friend and mentor to me, which I love so much, you are the thread that runs through all of women's sports. And for that, and for what you continue to give and do, and how you share and spread love, and you're advocating for everyone, I don't know how you have the energy to do it, but I am so thankful and grateful that you do, and that you continue to do it. Congrats on this award. I love you so much, Mama.
Congratulations, Billie Jean, for being honored by the Westport Library. I know from being in Southern California the last 25 years how important libraries are for you because one is named after you in your hometown of Long Beach. You've been an incredible advocate for people, whether it's literacy, whether it's equality for all, whether it's the importance of girls in sports have the same access as boys in sports. We appreciate you. I appreciate the message to read to your kids and to enjoy reading as a family activity. Tennis and reading, you can't do any better than that.
Hi everyone, I'm Kathy DeLeon, Director of the Long Beach Public Library. Welcome to the Billie Jean King Main Library. Billie Jean, congratulations on your achievement. Thank you so much for inspiring us every day.
Congrats, Billie Jean King!
Hi, Billie Jean. I'm still at a loss of words why over 5 years ago you left the Lakers game to pick up the phone of a crazy hockey player that was asking you to help change the landscape of the sport forever. And one phone call to you and Alana turned into a million phone calls, which then turned into the inaugural Professional Women's Hockey League that dropped its first puck this January. And this league would not be possible without the undeniable efforts of you and Alana. You've shown all of us what's possible when you stand up and fight for what you know is right. There were days I lost hope and didn't know if this dream would ever become a reality, but there were two people that never lost hope, and it was you and Alana. And those days that I may have lost hope, I turned on the TV and I watched a tennis match. I remember being at the US Open with you and seeing the women receive their prize money and the men receiving their prize money, and that prize money was equal.
I am really honored to give this tribute to my dear friend and world champion and activist and global women's transformational leader, Billie Jean King, for the Westport County Library. I'm really, really honored because she is truly, honestly, you've never seen a woman like Billie Jean King. Frankly, you've never seen a person like Billie Jean King. Not only is she the most winning person on court, and we're at Wimbledon right now talking like this, but she's the most winning off court as well. And what has she done for women? Made them the most winning on court, off court. Wherever you go, she is a winner. Is that good enough?
That's unbelievable. Join me in welcoming our honoree tonight, Billie Jean King.
How is anyone supposed to recover from that? I was telling you. I mean, seriously. And that last part, I forgot. I was at Wimbledon with Christian, and I forgot. Ilana was laughing, sitting next to me, going, "Oh, this is so funny," and I forgot. And I go, "Oh, I was there, right?" Anyway, it's so great to see you, Chris.
So great to see you.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining me and my community.
Well, thank you for those kind words. I didn't read that article, so it was good. I'm telling you, I am overwhelmed, so thank you. Who's the one that did the film? Was it Doug?
Doug.
All I can say is the editing and the work to get all that footage. I've never seen some of it ever. And I just would like to, Doug, is he here? Doug,
here.
I don't know how you did it because.
What I love about his
so
film.
thoughtful too. It's everything. It's just, oh my gosh, I'd have to see it a few times just to figure out how you figured it out.
What I love about his film, many of you, everybody now, has the book All In. That was the audio book that was woven throughout the film.
That's why.
That's how we got all your words.
How dense am I? I'd have to figure that out.
Because Billie does her own audio book, and it is a terrific, terrific listen. Very emotional, but very, very good. The song, Philadelphia Freedom. What does it mean to you? Give me the background with Elton and why he decided to write that for you.
I'll give you the background, but first I want to talk about Sophie B. Hawkins and the kids. They were great. Last time I think I saw Sophie was 25 years ago at Julie Anthony's in Aspen. I remember talking to her then. I mean, wow. The way Philadelphia Freedom worked, the song, is that I met Elton 2 weeks before the King Riggs match in Los Angeles. Jerry Parenchio, who was the promoter, had a party, and I don't like going to parties that much. So I walk in and I say, "Jerry, is this party for you? What is this?" He goes, "Oh no, it's for Elton John." He's my favorite because I love piano. I love piano first before everything. I don't have it. Okay? So God gave my brother and me more in sports. So anyway, he and I were across the room from each other, and he kept looking at me the whole night, and I could go. So his manager comes over and talks to me, and his name was Tony King, which is even funnier. And Tony goes, you know, Elton's been dying to meet you all night, but he's too shy. And I went, ditto. I was. Hi. I just loved his music. I remember stopping in San Francisco. I was driving on Van Ness, which is very hilly, if you know it. And I pulled over to the side in 1971-ish when this Elton John album came out, and Your Song. And I fell in love with that song. But because he could play the piano and could sing, I thought, oh, my God, he's just the best. He was my favorite from then on. Of course, fast forward, now it's 1973, and I'm across the room from him. So Tony King takes me and says, you come with me. And we sat across. He goes, Elton, this is Billie Jean. Billie Jean, this is Elton. Start talking. And Elton goes, hi. And so Elton goes, oh, I love watching you on the telly in his English-British accent. And I love tennis and football, which means soccer. Those are my two sports. And if I weren't a rock and roll star, I'd love to be able to play, win at Wimbledon. I said, well, all of us want to be rock and roll stars, so this is good. So we fast forward now, I'm playing the first year of World Team Tennis. And I was drafted in Philadelphia. And so Elton would come and watch and sit on the bench, and I got him a uniform from Ted Henling. And so we're going to one of his concerts. And he goes, I want to write a song for you. I didn't hear him right. I go, sweet. He goes, what do you want to call it? Because he thinks like this. I go, wait a minute, Elton, did I hear you right? And he goes, yes, I'm going to write a song. What are we going to call it? What are we going to call it? Come on. I go, I don't know. I have to get over the fact you're even going to write me a song. Stop. He goes, how about Philadelphia Freedom? I said, that would be a great gift to the people of Philadelphia if you would do that. It could be an anthem for them forever. And so he calls Bernie Taupin, who does all the lyrics. Bernie, I'm writing a song for Billy. It's called Philadelphia Freedom. Write the lyrics. Poor guy. Here's poor Bernie, like, huh? So anyway, that's the song. Became #1, crossed over into R&B and became #1. It was his first song to cross over into R&B. This was 1975. And it made him so happy because he's very competitive. He goes like this. He goes, and you can imagine what his forearm looks like. Oh, it's amazing. So it's like this. So he goes, yeah. Anyway, he was really happy to be #1 in the R&B. It meant a lot to him. So that's how that happened. I'm sorry it took so long.
And I can say, as a kid growing up in Philadelphia,
right,
it is an anthem.
Girl.
It is an anthem. It made everybody very
people
proud.
Still play it all the time.
It's great. It's great. You know, as we look back on your film, it always strikes me, because I know so many of the greatest ones always tell me how much they enjoy the simplest part of tennis, and that is the sound of the ball and the way it feels to hit a ball.
Yes.
It was love at first sight,
That's
right?
Correct. Well, you have to understand there wasn't much available for girls. Like, I thought about playing baseball. We went to Wrigley Field, which was AAA then. We didn't have a Major League Baseball team in California in those days, okay, in the 50s, until the late 50s. So we'd watch, and then I was 9 years old, and I looked at the field, and I go, my heart sank. My stomach felt terrible, and I go, I'm never going to play baseball. I'm a girl. Because I'm a girl, I'm limited. I mean, I started thinking about this. I'm like, this isn't right. I felt terrible that day. My mother knew something was wrong. Just, are you okay? And I go, yeah, I'm fine. Not. So that was a rude awakening, that moment, when I was 9. It was terrible. And when, Lana and I are part owners of the Dodgers now, which is really ironic. Oh, but let's make it funnier. My brother played 12 years of professional baseball. He played 10 years for the San Francisco Giants, which is the rivalry. We grew up with Dodger Blue, in Southern California. As soon as my brother Randy got drafted, though, by the Giants, I thought, that's it. I'm a Giants. Loyalty, right? And so it's funny when you think about all these things, but
then tennis opened.
That's Susan Williams' fault in 5th grade.
Oh, Susan Williams.
It's her fault.
1 second. We have a message.
She's the reason.
Hi, Billie Jean. It was great to hear you were being feted once again for your untiring lifetime support of girls and women in sports. I'll never forget the time I asked you in 5th grade at Los Cerritos Grammar School in Long Beach, California, if you would like to play tennis. What's that? You replied, and we never looked back. Our mothers, both named Betty, were our champions, taking turns almost every school day to drive us to one of Long Beach, California's public parks to take lessons from Clyde Walker, who worked for the Long Beach Recreation Department, teaching tennis 5 days a week. He was so patient with us, helpful and inspirational. One summer, he was able to hire Darlene Hard, who needed the job, and she taught us the American twist serve. You have been a driving force for so many years in the wide development of not only women in tennis, but women in sports. Your founding of the Women's Sports Foundation was selfless and has been hugely impactful for so many girls and women. Heartiest thanks to you and your lifelong devotion to girls and women in sports. You continue to be my idol. With deep affection and devotion, Susan Williams Catherwood.
She's so modest. Susan was the smartest kid in the class. She's still at whatever, we're 80 now. She's on like boards, they're all finance. She's brilliant. She's brilliant. And she was always the #1 player in Long Beach. I was always #2. So anyway.
Susan wanted to be here tonight, but she's at a board meeting in Washington, D.C.
Surprise, surprise, not.
And said, but I am sending a greeting because I have often, as you heard me say, how much I appreciate Billie, and I think, gosh, what would I be without Billie Jean King? But really, who would we be without Susan Williams?
Thank you. Susan is the reason, she's on my blessing list. I try to do blessings in the morning when kind of waking up. She's on there. Because if she hadn't asked me to play tennis, I would never have had this life. I wouldn't be here tonight, that's for sure. So I'm glad you got that with Susan, and I'm staying in touch, and guess where she lives?
Philadelphia.
Bryn Mawr, Philadelphia. I know.
We've had chats. I've gotten to know son Morgan and Susan.
You did?
You're going to see me at the next family party. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Anyway, I owe her big.
I've spoken with both
Every
of them.
day I thank God and thank her. Thank you, Susan, because thank you for asking me to play tennis. Because what's tennis?
What's tennis? What's that? She was lovely. How did pioneers, you talked about baseball, and baseball was so important to you and your brother, and you mentioned when you could play with the guys, and they realized you were quite good. But you mentioned the Dodgers, and it makes me think, as I said, when I looked at you, I thought this is like a black ball player looking at Jackie Robinson.
No, that was amazing what you said.
Well, I meant it. How did people like Jackie Robinson, Althea Gibson, some of the great, how did they influence you as a younger person?
Well, Althea was my first hero, and I got to see her when I was about 13, and of course I wanted to be #1, and if you can see it, you can be it, right? So I see this player who's #1, and I'm going, I can never be that good. Geez, she's amazing. And then my parents on top of that always tell me that every generation gets better. Oh, great. That means I have to be better than her, right? And I'm like, there's no way. Anyway, I had her book, I slept with her book. I've always wanted to be, is it someone or somebody? I think somebody. And it was published in 1958, so I was about 14. And it was huge for me. But I got to meet her, and then over time, I got to know her in my life. So I'm really, really lucky. She finally let Zena Garrison, Zena was like #4 in the world, African-American. She finally let Zena and I come to her home in East Orange in New Jersey and let us look in the basement, all these photos, all the memorabilia. It was amazing, but it was really great to get to know her through the years. But I think, looking back, and her friend Fran Gray, who did her foundation, Althea Gibson Foundation, I think we all think she was depressed. And of course, mental health is so big right now. I don't think everyone understood then, but she had such a burden to carry for the sport. She was the first black. We didn't allow blacks to play like at the U.S. Open, which used to be called the U.S. Nationals until 1950. So I was always indebted to her because she was #1, but more importantly, what she had to put up with. So she was huge in my life. It still is. Every day I think about her, what she must have gone through. She did go to college, went to Florida, I think A&M, which is, I think, a black historical college and university. So, but she was amazing, what she put up with. And she won the French in '56, Wimbledon '57, '58, And Queen Elizabeth did give her trophy. So, I mean, the dish. You know that dish we hold up?
The big dish.
Yeah, it was great. The big dish. The Venus Rose water dish, I think it's called.
Tennis opened your eyes in sport, as it has for many of us, to some of the discriminations that exist.
Oh, for sure.
Socioeconomic discriminations as well in tennis. You said you were a young child when you know,
my epiphany? My epiphany year?
Tell everybody about it.
I was 12. I wanted to be number one at 11. Fast forward, I'm finally playing in what we call sanctioned tournaments. That's how you start getting rankings. And I'm at the Los Angeles Tennis Club, and I'm kind of daydreaming, just taking it all in. It's about 4 or 5 in the afternoon, and I realized that everybody plays with white balls, so everybody wears all white, and everybody who plays is white. And I said, that's not right. And of course, I've been watching TV when they're not allowing kids of color to go to school with whites, and of course, California is different from the Southeast, and I'd always say to my dad, Daddy, why don't they let these kids go to school? Because they're Negroes. And I went, huh? What? You mean because they're black? And he says, yes. And I go, that's not right. Every person should have a right to. He says, you're right. But I thought, when I was daydreaming, I knew the history of tennis by then, and I knew we were global, and I knew that was a plus. And I didn't understand I didn't know the word platform. That's exactly what I was thinking, that I would have a platform. If I could be number one, because as a girl, I knew people wouldn't listen as much. So I knew that was a challenge as well. But as a girl, if I could become number one, maybe I could make this world a little better through sports. And it's so true. I mean, athletes have such a platform compared to a lot of people. Music, certain people, we're very fortunate. But I was already daydreaming how we could help change and make sure we be kind and good to each person, and sports can help transform that. Of course, I didn't know the word platform, but now I do. So that's what I was saying. Yeah.
At 12.
But I promised myself. I made my promise that I would fight for equality the rest of my life. I would champion it. I would fight for it. And if I could be number one, maybe, just maybe I could help make little changes. But you never know when you're young. It's a wish. It's a prayer.
But then you have more and more motivation.
Yeah, but you have to do it. It's like saying something and doing it. It's two different things.
And when you got to college and realized no scholarship money. Wimbledon doubles champion already at 17, but no scholarship money. No, and there the men were getting scholarship
you know what
money.
Larry used to tell me? He goes, I'm the 7th guy on a 6-man team. And I get 2, he was really smart. He was a biochemist major, so he got grant money for that and grant money for tennis. So I had 2 grants come in. I had none. We both were working. But I worked 2 jobs, which I thought was, anytime you have a job, it's a privilege. So I was thrilled. Playground director was one of them, and I love the kids. They're great. So it was fun. But in the same time, I'd go to the library with a tennis ball and just put it, and just look at it and dream about what I wanted for not only tennis, but for the world. And I thought, wow, how am I going to make this happen? I don't know. But then I gave up college and went to Australia to be number one. Larry says, you don't go to school anyway. Why don't you just go? Because I didn't go to class, but I talked to professors all the time. I talked to students. I talked to everyone because I love to learn. There's 3 things and Ed Woolard, who was a mentor of Lana's mine and dear friend, he and I used to talk, and I go, you know, I do these commencement speeches, and everyone's like 22-ish. What can I give them that'll help them the rest of their lives? So he and I, for 3 years, kept observing people that had inner success and outer success. Not just outer success. They had to be happy in their hearts and be good. So these are the 3 things we came up with, and they don't have to be in this order at all. Relationships are everything. Keep learning and keep learning how to learn. And be a problem solver and an innovator. And usually as you go through the day, you're going to hit on one of those. For me personally, relationships are everything, of those 3. That's the way I'm built. You might be some other way, but also you have to find answers and finish. Like Kendall Coyne calling Ilana and me saying, please help me, we want a professional league, a real one that we're treated like the men. Because they've had other leagues, but they're subpar. So that took 6 or 7 years. Ilana was really the person behind that. Because we worked with the players, had to find the financing. It's always about money. Steve and Diane Parrish are here tonight. I'm so glad I finally got to see you. I haven't seen you forever. And that's Philip Morris. Without you, the women's tennis we would never have the life we've had and continue to have because of those first few years when we started the Virginia Slim Tour. And you guys believed in us so much. And I'll always be indebted. And it's so great. When Lana and I saw your names, we're like, yay, we get to see you guys. We got to see them, so we're really thrilled.
The word platform, you had an enormous platform. Battle of the Sexes, 90 million people watched.
No pressure.
No pressure. What's your lasting memory of the match? The moment it became a movement?
I thought a lot about before I played. And I knew it was about social change. Title IX had just been passed the year before. Just so you know, Title IX, everybody thinks it was about women's sports. It's not. It was about classroom quotas. Before 1972, many times they only allowed 5% of the classroom to be women. And that's why you didn't have women doctors, why you didn't have women lawyers and all those things. Like in the 60s, I said, why don't we have more? Well, it's so obvious. I didn't know the rules, the laws. So when that changed, it was really enormous. It's only 37 words, but in these 37 words, there's the word activity. And the co-authors, were 4 of them, were trying to decide whether to leave that in or take it out. They left it in, and that's the reason girls have athletic scholarships. It's the only reason, okay? It was actually a secondary part of it. So, because I knew Senator Birch Bayh, who was one of my heroes as well, from Indiana, and he and I had that talk. And he said, we almost took it out. And I went, oh, thank you, God, they left it in. So the reason we win at the Olympics, the reason the women do well is because of Title IX. So you have to know the law. It helps to know the laws and why these things can happen. That was big. I think I've lost track. What would you ask me?
Just your lasting moment from the match.
My lasting match. No, I'll tell you. I knew that it was about, it would be really a shift in the hearts and minds of people, especially in the U.S., but beyond. It was 90 million people. The Super Bowl that year had 53 million, so that'll put it in perspective. Mm-hmm. Oh, no, it was huge. And people talked about it like 6 weeks ahead. We didn't announce it until after Wimbledon, thank God. I knew I was going to play him before Wimbledon. But anyway, I said, no, let's not tell anybody yet, because there's no way I'm going to play Wimbledon and have that. And Margaret Court had lost to him in May, right before Wimbledon. Also, that's the year that we had the Women's Tennis Association that I founded, and 60 people showed up. Actually, Lana was probably a 17-year-old kid in that meeting, and to get the 60 people, we spent a year to get them in that room. Yeah. It was hard, and Rosie Casals helped. Chrissy Pigeon helped. Everybody went and got two people to bring. I said, who do you have influence over? Like I'd say, if you're one of us, the 9, okay, Chris, who do you have influence over? And you say, I said, it's got to be 2 people. And you'd probably say, okay, I think I know this one and that one. You have to get them to the meeting, okay? And it worked. The players are sensational that way. Yeah. They really, the
70s were crazy.
It was crazy.
And we have a guest to help Billie discuss the 70s. But before I leave the topic of Battle of the Sexes.
Oh, I know.
In your book, the audio book.
Yes.
And as I said, it's a very emotional read. You're reading it, and you can hear the emotion in your voice. There are a few times your voice cracks.
Yes.
And saying goodbye to Bobby Riggs was one of them.
Yeah, it was hard, because I got to know him, and he finally understood that we made a difference. I kept saying, Bobby, this is about history. It's about society. It's not about money only. He was all about the money and this, and I said, anyway, it means it. So we stayed in touch thanks to Lorne Kuehl, who was his coach. Lorne is the reason we stayed in touch, because Lorne, he's one of our best friends. We love him. And he always would report in, and I would always talk to Bobby. And the night before he passed, we did talk, and it was good, because he finally, we both said we love each other, and it was really good closure. But Lorne's such a great friend now. The friendship of that was really important. But doing the book was difficult. I had to make a decision. They said, do you want to leave in the emotion, or do we do it over, or what? I said, just leave it all in. Just leave the truth in. Just leave it in. And I'm going, maybe I'm going to be sorry later. No. I said, just leave it. That's why you heard my voice.
Yeah,
Sometimes perfect. It got really rough.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And you do, it takes about 9 days, about 4 or 5 hours a day.
To just keep reading.
It's rough.
It's hard.
Have you done that? You probably have.
I haven't written a book.
No, not writing, but why haven't you?
I don't know.
You speak so great and you do such a great job.
Thank you. Thank you.
No, but you're unbelievable.
Thank you. I'm going to, as soon as
Come on, guys,
ESPN
give it up.
retires me, I will be your book on tape. That will be me.
Yes.
Sandy, you're here somewhere. Mark that down.
Yeah.
Going into audiobooks.
You have to have a lot of careers in life, right?
Yeah.
Why not?
Okay. All right.
Whoa, I think she's thinking, everyone.
Now I'm thinking, and I have to remember when Billy asks me and follows up on that, what I'm going to do about it. I'd like to bring up a very special guest as we discuss getting a tour started in World Team Tennis and competing against this one, being mentored by the great Billie Jean King. Please welcome Chrissy Everett.
You want me to move? Should she there? Whoops, right there. Do you need something?
Did you know
I
Billie
thought you were
Jean?
going to play the piano
Well,
for us.
I was going to. I
was all ready.
Thank you for introducing me to Elton John, by the way.
You're welcome.
And Billie Jean plays the piano. Did
do
you say
not.
that? Yes, you do. I see it
I
on
wanted
Instagram
to.
all the time. I'm sorry, I saw you on Instagram.
Playing and then there's playing.
Okay, she plays.
Play at it.
But I'm just thinking, My Life by Chris McHenry. Right. I'm just thinking of the book.
You're in trouble.
That would be
I'm in a lot of
spicy.
trouble.
Because she is trouble, you know.
Spicy.
Spicy. It'd be the most boring book ever.
Are you turning?
I don't think so.
Wait, hello? Would you sit like this so I can look at
No,
it?
I'm going. I had to have water.
Oh, okay.
Chris, I wouldn't turn my back on you.
That's okay. Billy's in a tough spot. You can turn your back on me. It's fine. Just talk to Chrissy. You
Can I
two
talk
go
about
back
Chris?
a long
Chrissy.
way.
I don't know
I
what
used to
I
call
don't
her
know what
Chris.
I
She
could
likes
add
Chrissy now.
to this conversation.
Come on,
about-
we're going to talk about. I'm going to tell you something. It was life-changing for our sport. Chris is 16 years old. She's playing the U.S. Nationals, which is now the U.S. Open, just like if you went to the Open, same tournament, much smaller in those days. But Chrissy saved, is it 4 or 6 match points against Marian Eisel? I was there watching.
6.
Thank you. Of course. I didn't think it was 4. So anyway, I knew that I was watching the next superstar. And we've been talking about we need superstars every generation. And I said, this is it. This is the one. You were anointed that moment, whether you knew it or not. But she totally changed the tournament. Billy Talbot, the tournament director, and I were talking. He says, oh my God, I'm going to have her on every stadium match. I said, no kidding. I said, put her out there every time. So the older women, I don't think were very good to Chrissy, the older players, because we had started a pro tour. Her dad didn't let her play. It was a mess, okay? It was really hard on everyone. And so anyway,
sorry.
I had a meeting. No, but you have to understand, the players were very envious. Does it sound like Caitlin Clark maybe? Or, I think it sounds a lot like a lot of different generations.
They were mean.
Anyway, that's what brought it to my attention because, so anyway, I had a little meeting with the older players. I said, you guys, you have to be nice to Chris. First of all, she's a good person. I like her. And she's our next superstar. Hello? And they're going, oh, well, she's not playing on our tour. I said, you guys, that is so petty. Think of the big picture. And then I thought, okay, what's in their self-interest? When you lead, you got to find their self-interest, not your own. And she's going to put money in your pockets. And they went, oh, hadn't thought of that. And I said, but more importantly, it's our job as the older players to be kind and good to the younger ones and be hospitable, help them, whatever they need. That's our job. They went, okay, we hear you. You're right. We need to change. I hope they changed. You'll have to decide on that. I think they did. They meant it. But they finally awakened. But you were our next superstar. You were our superstar that moment, really. It was happening. And I thought it was great. I was thrilled.
Well, thank you. The women were really mean to me in the locker room. And I was 16, you know. I'm like, what did I do? I'm sorry, what did I do?
So you won.
Then I heard that Billie Jean didn't tell me. I heard that Billie Jean held a meeting and like told them off and said, exactly what you said, and she's great for the game, and it's going to be good for us in the long run. I'm thinking, a woman championing another woman. That's a new concept. I mean, that was awesome. That was really awesome because, I was up and coming and I was starting, I was beating Billie Jean on clay and I was starting to win a few matches. And I remember like when players like Tracy Austin came up, I wasn't that generous at all. I mean, I wasn't like, come on, Tracy, come on. I want you to be the next superstar. Beat me, if you're an athlete, you're a little bit self-absorbed and you get into a bubble and you want to win matches, But I heard Billie Jean was saying these things, which was awesome. But I think the one event that I really remember well was, it was a tournament we played in Sarasota. That was Sarasota, Florida. And I believe the week before, we had played in the finals, maybe San Francisco, and you beat me really badly. I mean, you beat me clean, 6-2, 6-3 on an indoor court. The next weekend, I played her in the finals, and I remember thinking I didn't see Billie Jean all day. She didn't warm up, and I went into this match and I beat her quite easily. And I was thinking to myself, she doesn't look like Billie Jean. She doesn't have a lot of energy. And then I later found out that she had flown to New York that morning and knocked on doors and, was trying to get sponsorship with various companies. And then she had flown back that afternoon, like 4 or 5 o'clock, didn't even have time to warm up, and played the match in the finals with me. And I was thinking again, she's so, wow. I mean, I thought, would I do that? And that was a no. I put my tennis first. And Billie Jean could have, and I know this doesn't matter to her, but she could have won more Grand Slams. She could have won more tournaments. She could have been ranked #1 in the world for more years. But that wasn't as important as promoting women's tennis, promoting for equality, and just getting a women's circuit on their feet and to support 200, 300, 400 women. And for that, I think we need to clap for that, because that's pretty awesome.
That's sweet of you. Thank you. Well, to tell you how much she concentrates, she's unbelievable at concentration, okay?
Okay, this is
wait a minute.
It's not about me.
I do. Well, I see you, I think about what you did. So anyway, Chrissy Everett is the only tennis player, man or woman, to have won 90% of her matches. Now you can say whatever you want, but I'll take that. I wanted to get that in because I know it's important to you. I think it's important to our sport, and people should know that.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'll take that. But can I just tell a couple more stories about Billie Jean? Thanks. You want to hear a couple more about Billie Jean? Is that okay?
Sure.
Nice. You're the.
No, go ahead. This is the easiest job I've had in a long time.
You're the book. Yeah. Well, this can go in one of your chapters. Okay. So, Billie Jean. Oh my God. When they were doing that film, I was like tearing up because, this woman is the 8th natural wonder of the world, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, she, everyone talks about mentor. I think I said that word earlier than anybody, but we were always friends, but you mentored me from age 16 on. And you mentored me, I remember, when I was younger, we used to play doubles together. Mm-hmm. And Billie Jean, as you know, was a serve and volleyer, and Chrissy, as you know, was a baseliner. Never got near the net. Petrified getting near the net. But when you play doubles, if you play tennis, you know that you have to volley. So it would be Billie Jean at the net and Chrissy back here, and I would be hearing, "Get to the net, get to the net, Chrissy, get to the net." And I would be like, but I feel more comfortable back here, But she would go, serve and volley, serve and volley, serve and volley. And I was like so intimidated by and so scared of her that I finally did what she said. Like a good daughter, I did what she said, and it improved my game. 100%, and improve my game. So thank you for improving my game.
Sweet.
The other thing is...
Actually, we do well now because of the way the kids play today is from the back and one up.
That's true.
It would work great right now.
That's true. But talking about a mentor, she mentored me in my tennis. We always practiced together also. Remember you and I and Martina, we used to do 2-on-1s on the court, and then we would take our pulse, and mine's 180, what's yours, you know? I mean, it was really silly.
We didn't know too much at that time.
Yeah, we were
like
silly.
They do now. Oh my
we
gosh.
We had no clue. We carried 2 rackets on the plane. You know, now they have 3 tennis bags. But, so she helped me with my tennis, and then when it came to, I'll never forget when it came to, Billie Jean was always president of the WTA because she found it. So she was president and she was our leader, But as the years went by, she was thinking maybe about retiring, maybe, you know, not playing as much. And she was thinking of the future. Who is going to lead the WTA? So one day she looks at me and she goes, I want you to be president of the WTA. And I said, why me? Billy?
Why you?
I go, what? I go, what? Why me? And she goes, because you're #1 in the world, and the press listen to the top players more than they listen to the, you know, other ranked players. And I pushed and pulled, and I just really was fighting with her. But finally, as I always do, gave in to her. And she said, I'll help you, and the other girls will help you. And they did. But I'm telling you, for the first 4 or 5 years, I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I mean,
didn't have to. We had executive director. We had all kinds of things. Just tell the press the story.
I was supposed to run the meetings, though.
No, you did a great job.
Attention, everybody. Okay. Roll call. I mean, I was great at that.
Okay, I'm going to interrupt. How many years were you president of the WTA?
11.
Cha-ching!
I grew into the role. But again, I had to say yes. And then okay, 2 more things. I had problems when I broke up with Jimmy Connors. I had problems in my love life. And Billie Jean again, she's always there right when I have these dramas in my life. There's Billie Jean right there. So I was saying, Billie Jean, I was so sad, and I was, you know, she goes, do you love him? And I go, yeah, but it's not the point, you know, that. And she goes, Chrissy, she goes, do you like yourself? Do you like yourself? Do you love yourself? Do you respect yourself? Are you an independent woman? Are you making decisions? And I was like, no. And she goes, well, then you're not ready to be married. Okay, so it's okay. It's not the right time for you. You're not ready. And you told me that.
Well, you told me really, if you listen. You know where we were during this discussion? We were in the dressing room at Westside Tennis Club. You know, members come in and out. In the old days, we had to deal with members in the dressing room with us getting ready for matches. Can you imagine that today? You don't even want to know. But we're looking out the window. You remember, we're leaning on the lockers and out the windows at Forest Hills, and we're having this discussion. Of course, I wasn't in any great shakes. I had so many problems myself. I mean, geez, what am I telling you?
Yeah, but I was like 19 years old and I was engaged.
The most important thing is we listened to each other.
Yeah, anyway, but you gave me the confidence that we had made the right decision. And lastly, the last thing she's been a mentor is when I have 3 kids. And when I had my babies, I was going to her and saying, you know, Billie Jean, this is what happened. You go, well, she would go, well, you should do this, and you should set boundaries, and you should do this. And she doesn't even have kids. She doesn't even have kids. She was giving me advice on my kids. All right, now she's turning her back to me.
I don't like it. You're right. I don't like that because I know that I don't have children. Therefore, I should never tell you what to do with a child.
But you know what? She has more wisdom than anybody I've ever met in my life, and I've met quite a few.
Well, that's thank you, but
obviously.
You know what it's called? Lots of therapy. No, I still do therapy once a week. Absolutely believe in it. Absolutely help my life. Without therapy.
So do I.
Yeah. Do you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Without therapy.
No, right?
All I'm going to say to anybody who's a psychologist or psychiatrist, thank you.
I think we've covered the 1970s.
I'm going to go because we have more guests to come up here. Is that okay?
Thank you, Chrissy.
Thank you. That's it. Bye.
That's it?
Thank you.
Well, you have other people, too.
For Chrissy.
Oh, thank you, Chrissy. Now you know behind the scenes what really happens. At least in our day, because we didn't have coaches, we didn't have teams. You know when they say, they get their trophies and all that, they look up, I want to thank my team. First of all, women, I'm so angry with the players because I never had women coaches, ever. No women, it's always 10 guys up there. I'm like, how are we ever going to be coaches if we don't have examples? You got to see it to be, that's a whole nother discussion. So anyway, they look up and they go, thank you, team up there. And you know what, our generation, or at least my generation, we think overhead. We couldn't afford a coach. We all helped each other. Chris and I, that's what Chrissy was saying, that we were helping each other. So we had no coach. A psychiatrist or a psychologist or a physiotherapist or a whatever. And so every time I see a player do that, I go, they have no idea. They have all this money and they can have this. And I'm thrilled for them. That's what we fought for. There's no question. But sometimes I just wish they would understand the differences. Mm-hmm. Because it's really important to appreciate everything we have in life. I'm never sure what, some of them do, some of them, but sometimes I'll listen to them and I'm like, the first 2 generations when you start a movement, like with the women's tennis, say we. And by the 3rd generation, it's I. And I want them to say we forever. Okay?
So I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. You know, to put a button on the 70s, you call them exhausting. The 70s were exhausting.
Everyone says, what do you remember about the 70s? I go, I was exhausted.
You were starting a tour, World Team Tennis. You and Larry King had so many businesses and irons.
Women's Sports Magazine. Just keep going. We own tournaments.
You own tournaments.
That's where I learned business. That started to.
What's the one thing you're most proud of when you look back and said, that was it? That was...
I don't think about that. I think forward. I don't even know. When I'm maybe when I'm a little older, I'll think that. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. When Chrissy said you could have won so much more,
you made
that choice.
I knew if I was going to really help the sport and help equality and all the things I truly, truly cared about. That's that 12-year-old epiphany that just went so deep that I'm not going to win as many titles, so I'm working. Like going to New York that day to get a sponsor and coming back to play. You're not going to win. You've got to be 100% on your tennis. I never had that. I don't know what it feels like.
Last year we celebrated and did so much with equal prize money at the U.S. Open. And, you know, the story often gets told. The U.S. Open decided this is a good thing to do. Let's give equal prize money and celebrate ourselves for doing that.
Great. They are the first.
But you went and got the money.
No, but here's what happened. 72, I had won the women's, and I got $10,000. Ely Nastasi, I think, won the men's. He got $25,000. So I'm getting this is only the 2nd year of our tour, too, and we're exhausted. We're killing ourselves. And I'm sitting there going, you know what? I've had it. And I looked at the media, all the reporters, and I said, you know what? The girls, I probably said, or the women aren't coming back next year if we don't get equal prize money. And as soon as I said that and left my mouth, I go, that's great, Billie. This is what I'm thinking internally. That's just great, Billie. You haven't talked to the women at all, and you are so stupid. I'm telling myself, what am I doing? So I thought, I got to go tell the women what I said. So I go in the locker room, and there's a few in there. I told them what I said, and they go, okay, that's okay. And I went, it is? So I went and talked to relationships. Because we own tournaments, I had relationships with businesses. And I went to many of them and said, would you make up the difference in the prize money? You know, one of you, all of you together. And Bristol Myers came to me and said, we want to do all of it. I thought I wasn't here. I went, really? They said, yeah, we want equal. And I had said it stinks. I used the word stink. They own Ban deodorant. And that's how they connected. That's for them. So it was very interesting. That's why in '73, I went to Billy Talbot, the tournament director, and I said, we've done surveys, and people actually think much more about the women than you think. They really do think you deserve more. And he goes, that's nice, and I knew that wouldn't talk. But money talks. Second thing, I go, and Billy, we had the money. He got white. He says, what? Of course, I love this guy who was a player. He had type 1 diabetes. I cared about him a lot. He goes, what? I said, we have the money. I said, would you do it? He didn't know what to say. He did not tell the board, which I thought he did, the USTA. They didn't even vote on it ever. But the next July, he announced it. So Billy Talbot, I love you.
And it only took the other tournaments.
When you go to the U.S. Open and you walk in there, you know the story, the true story behind equal prize money.
One of the surprises in Billie's book, All In, is that she's married. They didn't tell anyone, not a single person,
in the old days,
until the book came out.
We couldn't get married in the old days, Alana and I. We've been together like 45 years this year, I think. So, and Mayor Dinkins, the New York mayor, I think it was the 106th mayor of New York City, used to always say to Alana and me, I want to marry you. If you ever get married, I'm it. And I said, I promise, we promise. And so he's starting to get older. Obviously, we're a lot older. And when we couldn't get married, and others went on the line for us, you know, gay couples and all that, I said, you know, we really, people have gone through a lot for us to be able to get married. And so, and Mayor Dinkins was getting a little older, and I thought, and so I called him up. I said, we want to come to you, and we'll do it in your apartment. We want it short and sweet. He did this beautiful thing. He found this sermon that says, I promise. Have you ever heard that? It's usually I will or I do. It was I promise. I love that. So anyway, his wife now has dementia at the time. She's the only other person there. And plus, the woman was taking care of her. That's all we have at this apartment. And you know how you need witnesses? So the person who was taking care of Mrs. Dinkins signed. And she goes, I don't know what I'm signing for, but I'll sign it. And so we had nobody. Ilana did not even tell her sister. Her sister is still angry with us, okay? But we had it, and then we got the wrong date in the book, okay? Oh, geez. So if you read the book, it'll say October 18th. It wasn't. It was October 19th. So anyway.
But because nobody knew.
It didn't matter. They had no fact check, right? Oh, it's hilarious. So anyway, we've been married a few years. It doesn't
2018.
matter.
18.
I know, but when I'm with somebody, I'm married to them. I mean, that's my personality. I'm no putzing around. I don't think, oh, we're just going together. No, I'm not like that. We are like that. We are, I don't know, I just feel like I'm married if I'm with somebody.
No, I
don't want to be with them otherwise.
And I was like, wait, Billie and Alana weren't married? Did I not know that? Did I know that?
Well, you couldn't get married when we wanted.
When you wanted to. And I just assumed.
And children, we wanted children. I mean, I love kids.
Well, one final chapter of this book is Alana, the two of you, and the path forward, the leagues you're establishing. And I'm very happy Doug used it in his film, because I was very touched in the book when you said Alana doesn't get the credit she deserves.
I'm so glad. Doug, you did a great, is he here?
He is.
Well, where's
Doug?
Doug, you did a great job, because you got Ilana in there properly.
Where are you?
Wherever you are. No, the edit, I just don't know how you did it.
Wonderful.
Yeah, but you got to find the footage first. Oh my God, I don't even know how you did it. I don't know.
So, and I said, you know what, that's gonna stop in Westport, because I would like Alana to get her due as we talk about these professional leagues. Everybody, this is Ilana.
Yay, baby. Ilana never talks about herself, so I'm her PR agent. She was #1 in the world in doubles. She's from South Africa. She's won the Maccabi or Maccabee, whatever you call it.
I have a mic.
What? No, but now you can talk all you want. I want people to know who you are.
Thank you. No, thank you.
You're not appreciated.
For having me up here, and it's terrific to be here and to have been part of Billie's journey, and actually sitting next to Chrissy. Chrissy and Martina were my era. That's why you knew them and not me, because they beat me all the time. But tennis has been incredible for me. Got me out of South Africa, got to meet some incredible people, and to have a wonderful life. And I really do feel, very blessed that I have an opportunity to work with Billie and to help change the world. So very fortunate.
Anyway, we have a saying, I dream it, Ilana builds it. And we have Marjorie Gantman's here tonight, too, with our company, so
that is
she's
true.
Important to us.
The two professional leagues, the Women's Professional Soccer League, and the Women's Professional Ice Hockey League. And I know, because I've been in sports a long time, some of these leagues, it takes a few starts, takes a few tries. And after the 1999 Women's World Cup, and I was a young sideline reporter throughout that tournament, and it was one of the greatest memories of my career, they tried a professional league, and it couldn't get going. But now it is. And I feel, and I don't even feel, I know, we all know, women's sports are really having a moment. All across the board. Team sports, Title IX, what Billie has fought for, what I was able to play in team sports. You know, 96 Olympics showed how far America was ahead because of Title IX and team sports, and it just continues to grow. What is it like to see this now?
Well, even if you take tonight, I think I'm the first sports athlete you've ever had here. If you look at 25 years, and sports, but particularly women's sports, is always left out. And I don't think people do it intentionally or anything, but we're always left out. But tonight, you included us, so I want to thank you. I don't know if you realize what it means to me, because if you look at all the people before, I don't think any of them were in sports, were they? I didn't see one sports athlete or a sports person. And people always think athletes are stupid, and we're not. So, no, they do. And a lot of the feminist movement and all that, well, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but most of these people are from the neck up. You know, they use their heads, they're very cerebral, and they don't even think of us. I mean, I used to try to get the feminists to use this more because we're on television every day. We sweat, we're real. And I just couldn't get through, I just couldn't do it. They just did not include us. And when they did, it was very superficial. It was on the outside looking in almost. So tonight, for me personally, is a huge moment because you've never had an athlete. I was the first woman athlete to get the Medal of Freedom. There are so many women athletes that should have had it before me. It's just ridiculous. So I don't want to be the first, because that means others weren't. Like Althea Gibson not getting a Medal of Freedom, runner, 1960 Olympics, a Courage Award. Wilma Rudolph Courage Award, we have the Women's Sports Foundation. She should have had it. I mean, all these people. So tonight's actually a breakthrough. I don't know if you realize it. For me, it is that you've included women athletes. To me, that's huge. So thank you.
Thank you.
So, you know, a couple of things. I think you talked about we're having a moment, and I think it's more than a moment. I think it's a movement. I think two important things. People are now investing in women's sports. It's not a charity, it's a true investment. And I think that is sending an unbelievable message when you see, you know, Angel City just got sold for $250 million. WNBA teams, $150 million. So it's really big business. And to sit here and have enjoyed the evening, and for Billie Jean to be alive, this is what she dreamed for all of us. So incredibly special that you get to witness it. You are the OG, and you helped us build it. And,
thank you.
Thank you both so much. This has meant the world to me.
Well, to us, thank you so much for your kindness.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're the best. Good luck.
Thank you for
I'm waiting for the book now.
And I have to write a book.
Thank you, everyone.
To close the evening, I'd like to welcome Bill Harmer, our Executive Director, to the stage.
Thank you.
Good evening, Westport. What an incredible night we've all shared together, right? How about another round of applause for these amazing women? I'm Bill Harmer, the Executive Director of this incredible Westport Library, and I couldn't be more honored to be standing in front of you after such a moving celebration of excellence and inspiration. Nights like this one remind us of the genuine power of community, the power of gathering together to recognize those who not only shape our world, but challenge us to think differently, act boldly, and redefine the boundaries of what's possible. As we come to the close of this 25th anniversary edition of Booked, I'd like to take a moment to recognize someone whose contributions made tonight possible, and that's Westport's very own Chris McKendry. I grew up playing tennis. I love tennis. And I'm thrilled that Chris McKendry's on this stage because for years she has been a guiding voice in the world of tennis, bringing unmatched insight and passion to ESPN's coverage of the sport. Chris, your dedication and love for the game have made tonight's celebration of Billie all the more special. Thank you for your hard work, for your expertise, and for making this evening all the more special and successful. Let's give Chris another round of applause. The Book for the Evening Award reflects the library's mission, and that's to foster curiosity, ignite a love of learning, and deepen our understanding of the world. And tonight, that mission has never felt more vibrant. We've come together to honor a trailblazer whose impact transcends the world of sports. A true legend who has spent her life fighting for equality, fairness, and justice. Billie Jean King is not just a champion on the tennis court. She's a champion of change, a tireless advocate for equal rights, and a role model whose courage has opened doors for so many others. Her life and work remind us that the fight for equality isn't won in a single match. It's won over time through perseverance, persistence, passion, and a commitment to doing what's right. Billie Jean, your fearless pursuit of justice has inspired generations, and tonight, we're all in awe of your legacy.
Thank you.
So therefore, it is my deep privilege to present you with the Westport Library's Book for the Evening Award. Your groundbreaking achievements and your unwavering dedication to equality inspire us all to dream bigger and push further. On behalf of everyone here, I think I speak for everyone, thank you for showing us what's possible when we stand up, speak out, and strive to make the world a better place. Congratulations. And Chris, I'm going to hand this over to you. We've got one more surprise for Billie Jean.
Another surprise? I haven't.
So before we close, we have one more special tribute for you, Billie Jean. We know that your father, Bill Moffitt, was not only an exceptional athlete and a life coach to you, but also a firefighter, a hero whose bravery inspired lifelong respect for those who protect and serve our communities. In honor of your father, and knowing how much you value the courage of firefighters around the world, we have a special gift for you this evening. To present this tribute, it is my honor to invite Westport's Fire Chief, Nick Marsan, to join me at the podium. Nick?
You're gonna have to make me quit too. Good evening. It is really my privilege to be part of this celebration to honor a person whose life embodies the very values that define our fire department and fire departments across the country and the world. Courage, resilience, and an unwavering commitment to equality. Billie Jean King is a trailblazer. You've heard that word a few times tonight, both on and off the court, and has spent her life showing great resilience, breaking barriers, and inspiring countless others to do the same. Billie Jean, your relentless fight for social justice echoes our own dedication to serving all members of our community, regardless of background or beliefs. Your unwavering belief in the power of authenticity reminds us all of the importance of honesty and integrity in our work. Therefore, it's my honor to present to you this award, appointing you as an honorary member of the Westport Fire Department for embodying courage and grace under pressure. Now that you're a member of the fire department, you're going to need this. So.
Thank you. Okay, with that, friends, I think it's safe for us to call it a night and enjoy the rest of the evening. We've got desserts waiting for all of you. Thank you all for being here to share in this really special celebration of our 25th year. Have a wonderful night. And we've heard lots of wonderful things about our library, and I just want to say what makes this library the great library that it is, it's this community. So a round of applause for all of you, and thank you for all of your support. We'll see you again soon.
Thank you, Bill. I know you want to go and you're going to go home, but I just want to thank everyone, especially fire department. But I cannot tell you how important libraries are to me and have been my whole life and my family. And this is such a great community here. And without the library books, I would have never had my dreams. And so I want to thank each and every one of you for your sponsorship, your love of learning, and it means so much to me. This has been the greatest night. I can't think of a better night of celebration, so thank you so much.